Welcome back to Soul Ascension Insights. My name is Dave Robertson. I'm your host. I've been following up on the Jupiter Accords, which I believe are contractual agreements signed in 2021 and 2022 between Earth's governments, militaries, and corporations and the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Please review episodes 23, 24, and 25 to bring yourself up to date on the Accords. In this episode, I'll talk about an Army insider mission that I believe indicates an agreement to change our current financial system for the better. With that said, let's get started with episode number 26, titled Dispatches from the Jupiter Accords, Part 3. Some of the information in this episode comes from the book U.S. Army Insider Mission 3 by Dr. Michael Salla, who has been receiving direct reports from Secret Space Program Insider, JP, who was given the green light from his command to reveal these missions to the public. Here is Dr. Salla's recap of one such mission. Quote, on February 20, 2024, JP was sent on a 5-man mission to an underground location in an icy region of the U.S., which we later calculated to be somewhere in North or South Dakota. He was taken by a Black Hawk helicopter where he and his fellow soldiers were drugged and awoken when they arrived at their destination. They were dressed in black uniforms equipped with radio-connected masks and proceeded to enter a giant underground cavern that was very cold and icy. They saw a large underground castle-type building that was covered by ornate Gothic-style architecture with tall spires and many mythological figures carved into this large castle. There were many military teams at this location, filling many shipping containers with gold plates, each weighing around 25 pounds and shaped like a frisbee. Each shipping container was marked with a different destination around the planet, suggesting that a deal had been reached where the gold and artifacts from the castle would be shared with an international alliance of some kind. Is what JP witnessed part of a secret Earth Alliance plan to launch gold-backed currencies to free humanity from debt-laden fiat currencies? JP witnessed several very tall beings, over 6 foot 6 inches, also wearing masks, guarding the castle entrances, who he suspected were non-human. JP talked with a short-haired Nordic who said he was there to study and catalog the artifacts. There was also a gray-like entity that was studying the artifacts and watching the actions of many different military teams loading a large number of shipping containers. JP's team proceeded to load one of the shipping containers with gold plates and were dismissed when it was loaded. His team boarded another Black Hawk helicopter and were flown back to their base at night. JP concluded that the team's main role was to observe and reveal this mission to the public, end quote. Dr. Salla mentions gold-backed currencies and the fiat currency system, which is the current standard around the world and was adopted by the U.S. in 1971 during the Nixon administration. Here is ChatGPT's definition of both currency systems. We'll start with the fiat system. Definition, quote, in the fiat currency system, the U.S. dollar has value because the government declares it to be legal tender. Its value is not tied to a physical commodity like gold, but rather the value of the dollar derives from trust in the government and the economy, end quote. Those in favor of the fiat system say in the modern globalized economy, fiat currency is generally considered more suitable. It provides governments and central banks with the flexibility to manage the money supply, fight recessions, control inflation, and stimulate growth. Fiat money allows for complex financial markets, trade, and globalization, and is the system used by all major economies today. And here is the definition of a gold-backed system. Quote, a gold-backed currency system or gold standard is one in which the value of the currency, the US dollar, is directly tied to a specific amount of gold. Historically, countries would hold gold reserves and issue currency based on those reserves, end quote. Those in favor of a gold standard say this system prioritizes long-term stability and protection against inflation and government mismanagement. Advocates argue that tying money to a tangible asset prevents reckless monetary policy and maintains the intrinsic value of the currency. From the founding of our country to 1971, the U.S. currency system was gold-backed. So I asked ChatGPT to compare economic disruptions in the last 20 years under the gold system, from 1951 to 1971, to the last 20 years of the Fiat system. Its response was, quote, "While there were recessions and financial strains during the period before 1971, none of them reached the level of systemic financial crises comparable to later events like the 1980 savings and loan crisis or 2008's Great Recession. The U.S. experienced more business cycle fluctuations rather than full-blown financial crises between the last 20 years of the gold-backed system," end quote. How's the U.S.'s fiat currency system been working for your family over the past 20 years? Our government's unchecked power to print as much money as they desire while determining the value of each dollar has been a recipe for disaster. I bought my first small home in 1982 when mortgage interest rates were over 16%. I kid you not. And who could forget the 2008 housing crisis, also referred to as the Great Recession? Millions of our fellow citizens lost their jobs, along with half of the value of their 401ks. There are many senior citizens who had to continue working because of this dramatic shift of wealth from the middle class to the upper class, which I believe was the first goal of this crisis. And let's not forget all the home mortgages that went into foreclosure because of massive job losses. I had moved to a new town in 2009 and went house hunting, but it was hard to find a home to buy. Hedge funds paid cash for a massive number of foreclosed homes so they could turn them into rentals, which I unfortunately believe was the second goal of this financial crisis. If you've seen ads for businesses that, quote, will buy your home in any condition for cash, end quote, then you know that hedge funds are continuing to buy up single-family homes, forcing more and more young people into rental housing. I'm reminded of a World Economic Forum meeting in 2016, where a Danish politician stated, quote, "By the year 2030, you will own nothing and be happy," end quote. Of course, the U.S. has a federal regulatory agency whose job is to protect us from that level of physical mismanagement. The Federal Reserve oversees and monitors financial institutions, like mortgage underwriters, to ensure they operate safely and comply with regulations, playing a key role in maintaining the stability of the financial system. I guess it's yet another sad example of the corruption of corporate capture that I spoke about in episode 17. I believe the mission JP witnessed is the foundation of a totally new and different worldwide financial system. Not a traditional fiat or gold-backed currency system, both of which can be manipulated by governments and banking institutions for the benefit of the few. A new global financial system that has never been used before on Earth for the benefit of all the people. That system is called the Quantum Financial System, or QFS. Here is the definition of the QFS. The Quantum Financial System, or QFS, is a next-generation digital monetary infrastructure that uses quantum computing and advanced encryption technologies to enable instant, secure, transparent, and traceable financial transactions on a global scale. It would operate independently of all governments and central banking systems, eliminating corruption, fraud, and manipulation by tracking every financial transaction in real time with precision and integrity. Its core features are quantum encryption for non-hackable security, decentralized architecture, not reliant on traditional central banks, asset-backed digital currency linked to gold. This is not a cryptocurrency. Real-time auditing and full transparency of all transactions. $1, Japanese yen, or Mexican peso would all have the same gold-backed value. No more currency fluctuations. But instead of having paper and metal currencies, every person in the world would be issued a debit card linked to a personal cloud account using blockchain technology. No bank between you and your money. In each person's account would be a new, secure, gold-backed digital currency. The current worldwide financial system has been weaponized against the people for decades. Inflation, taxes, currency fluctuations, recessions, financial crises, high interest rate, long-term debt, all of it a measure of control and manipulation that has stripped us of trillions of dollars. I've recently come across a term called recompense, which means, quote, the making of amends for wrong one has been done by paying money to or otherwise helping those who have been wronged, end quote. What if all the gold and artifacts JP saw being loaded into many shipping containers is not only to support a new currency system? What if every person in the world were given a debit card loaded with this new digital currency as a recompense? How would that affect the worldwide poverty problem? And what better way to start a new financial system than to provide each person with a large amount of money to be spent as each of us sees fit? All of this I can visualize. The hard part is, how do we get from here to there? Remember when everyone was locked down during COVID and we got messages on our phones telling us when and where to go for vaccine shots? What if they used the same system to have each of us show up to establish an account and receive this new loaded debit card? That would mean that the world would need to temporarily stop again to implement this new financial system. A pause would also be helpful for the Earth Alliance plan to replace our current weaponized internet system with a worldwide unhackable fifth dimension servers run by the Earth Alliance for the benefit of all the people. A short-term pause would also help the white hats start the replacement of city-sized fossil fuel power stations with free zero-point energy systems. Once rolled out, these systems will be site-specific and eliminate the need for fossil fuels and provide free, limitless energy everywhere to everyone on Earth. Recently, I've heard the terms solar flash and 3 days of darkness, and that's not the scary Catholic version. Each term envisions a short period or pause in the normal day-to-day activities of life. And during this pause, the Earth Alliance could use the emergency broadcast system to explain what is happening. Explain the manipulation and control we have been subjected to, which is why these new systems are necessary. Calmly explaining our undisclosed history. Replacing all of these legacy systems is a staggeringly large job. Maybe a short pause, or a reboot, if you will, is one way we can start to replace these old systems of control with a new, better way forward for every human on Earth. I have no inside knowledge that all will play out as I envision, and I realize that the scenario I just outlined brings up many important questions and possibly fosters some feelings of fear and apprehension. But I remind you that the days of fearful thought are over. You and I are here on Earth at this time to project love, gratitude, and authenticity into the void, and to assist Earth and humanity cement a new timeline that leads to a grand ascension never before seen in all creation. We are powerful eternal souls who chose to embark on this mission on earth at this critical time to assist with ascension. Every one of us needs to hold love in our heart and radiate that powerful frequency to everyone we encounter. Each of us must maintain and project a calm presence when the changes begin to assist our fellow humans. We are living in and are playing a part in monumentally historic times. It is the power of our collective consciousness that is our greatest strength. It's time for each of us to act, to project love and adopt a service to others mindset to help our fellow souls through ascension. The time to act is now. Nothing can stop the grand changes that are coming. All my praise and thanks to God, the creator of all, for my lives, experiences, and opportunities. Let me address this one thing before I close. I can imagine some people are thinking, worldwide digital currencies and the mark of the beast are important end-time signposts we need to be wary of. I totally agree. And if any fiber of my being felt that there was any connection between the quantum financial system and 666, I would rail against it and refuse its demands. But I see God in the preciseness of this system, which I sincerely believe will greatly benefit every human on earth. Thank you, my friends. I have no crystal ball, and I cannot tell you when or if these things will occur, as I've laid them out in the 28 Soul Ascension Insights episodes. What I do know is that now, if the changes happen in the way I've outlined, it will not come as a complete surprise, and you will be better prepared, which I believe is my main role in the ascension process and was one of my pre-birth planning goals. If you identify your passion and pursue it to the best of your abilities with no expectation of the outcome, you will also be pursuing your pre-birth planning goals where you will be assisted by your higher self, which I highly recommend. As always, I'll leave a book and media list for those who wish to explore further. Thanks again, and I'll be back with more episodes.